20 minutes, Battle Fury Manta. Okay, now I'm ready to fight.
I like that. I will say one of the things that might have been is like another part of that the change from Tormentor like 15 to 20. I feel like is a direct nerf to the Radiant as well, because it did feel like Radiant was the choice for a lot of teams, partly because the safe lane camps were just easier to manage, but it also felt like it was almost like I don't know the exact numbers, I'd have to look back on it, but I do remember it being substantially in favor that first Tormentor went to the Radiant a lot of the time, and it's not like the draft 100% decides it, but map positioning is a big deal, and if you pick a team that can play for the Tormentor early, I think you're gonna have a pretty good time. But now with it spawning on the Dire side at 20 minutes, potentially balancing out the side difference, right? Because I think Radiant has been quite favored over Dire for the last, all of 7.38, at least the last 2 letter patches. It was like heavily Radiant favored. So yeah, it is time for the draft though, as we've got that popped up on the screen here. We can take a look at some of the bans. Not surprised by too many of these. I know Nature's Prophet still very strong even after the change. He's being ran more as a support, rushing the Spirit Vessel, which did get a nerf, removing the Vit booster in replace for the Diadem, so he just gets 10 all stats now. Yeah, so it's a buff for universal heroes. You lose 175 HP but gain 10 all stats. Pretty value. So
we're here for the damage, Ricky.
Yeah,
health didn't give me any damage before. Now I got 10 more damage. That's the way. Yeah, Oracle is maybe the newest ban. That's not something we saw in the past, but has been getting more popular with the recent changes, and unfortunately not gonna get to see why in this particular game, but we got a lot of games still to go, and I'm sure it'll pop up later to show its strengths.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. I'm excited to see what they come up with here, but Gyro first pick. To me, this is also like a staple of South America.
Yeah, it's such a safe pick, and you can put it in support, which is actually really popular in South America. I'd say more than other regions, even when it died out in popularity to other places. The Gyro is still pretty common to go for. But it's also just a really solid carry. It got a slight nerf in the recent patch, but doesn't really seem to have affected the popularity of it all that much. Still does what it needs to do. You know, like, what do you counterpick into it? They're gonna go for the Dawnbreaker in the off lane, and it is a burst hero who can threaten the kill on Gyro. But at the same time, Gyro still has that fighting potential if you give him a strong support, maybe that Undying we were talking about. And in the worst case scenario, you just keep flat cannoning out the waves and go farm really quickly.
Yeah, I do really like Dawnbreaker. Also, I think she started getting a little bit more attention towards the tail end of the last patch. People were picking her up a little bit more just because she is a pretty solid damage dealer. It was definitely still a niche pick, but like nothing's really changed in terms of the identity of the hero. It is still a global kind of response. But we're also seeing some teams be willing to flex this as a carry. And I think that is where I'm really excited to see where this ends up going because of the change to Star Surge in this last patch. So even if like Starbreaker gets canceled or interrupted, you still gain the attack speed, which is a big deal. Previously, if someone just, mini stunned you or whatever, you just don't get the 4 seconds of attack speed, which is a little rough. Also, I'm curious how you feel about the innate, because this was one of those things where I read this and I was like, does this mean carry Dawnbreaker is a thing? Because you no longer get the full map reveal anymore, right? The Break of Dawn, but instead you just get 25% bonus damage that scales down to 0 for the first 5 minutes of the game.
Dusk.
Well, it's not just first 5 minutes, but any daytime. Anytime it turns to day. Yeah, so it is interesting, right? It's like the inverse of Night Stalker, but a morning person, stronger at the start and gets weaker throughout the day. at the least as an off lane, potentially with Tusk, which is a classic combo. It'll be a strong start to the lane, which is always good, right? You get off on the right foot. Even as you get weaker, maybe you just have another item over them, so it just continues to carry you through. So as an offlaner, it could be fine, or it is fine. Potentially as a carry, like you said, it is a cool idea. I feel like only some carry players have really practiced it. It's getting more popular for carry players to have expanded the pool away from the traditional hard carries, and now being ready to do some of the stranger Dawnbreaker carries, axe carries. I don't know if I believe in that one much, but that type of idea is getting more popular. So I would love to see it. Though now that I see this Shadow Shaman, you do want some longer ranged heroes versus the Shadow Shaman to easily kill off wards. Something Dawnbreaker carry is not going to be great at. It doesn't have to be her. There's other heroes in the game, so it's still a possibility.
I feel like the Dawnbreaker Tusk pick to me typically leans towards offlane. Like a lot of times, I feel like like when you see Dawnbreaker Tusk, it's your offlane combo. It's something they could still do in the safe lane, which I think would be awesome. I'd love to see it, but Shadow Shaman, a great disruptor into that combo, right? Either stopping the Starbreaker with the Hex, or just the Chicken Fingers, which is really strong, or you can just lock her down with Shackles. And being able to prevent that tag team into Starbreaker is pretty much essential when you're playing against this duo. So smart pick there. Countered out by the Silencer. Now the real question is if they're going to pick the Bloodseeker, because we've seen that genius that came out from Enigma Galaxy recently about running this Silencer Bloodseeker lane. It did get nerfed immediately in the B patch, but I still think it's good,
especially versus a Pango. That's even at a time when Bloodseeker was not considered good, that was one of the rare times you would see him picked, and we're gonna get to see it. So this should be pretty fun. If you guys haven't seen it, Bloodseeker, he had a new facet added in called Old Blood, which you can use on yourself for the the old effects. You get the damage and all that, but you can use it on enemies to silence them for a long time, which prolongs silencer spells. So you get a ton of damage from the Silencer and Bloodseeker, just both pressing Q on enemies. And you do that once or twice, you're not killing them right away, but you are taking off so much health that the lane becomes so much easier after that point.
You more than double the duration of Arcane Curse. If you're wondering why it's so good, that is the main reason. Arcane Curse is a 6-second duration debuff. Bloodseeker's Silence is a base 8-second duration. So it's pretty good. It's a solid combo. I cannot believe it. A Shadow Fiend. Now, this is a hero that I have been wanting to see for some time. Now, I thought if a team was gonna play it, it would actually be Sustancia, because Faker, also known as KXY for people who probably know him by that name, is a Shadow Fiend fiend. He loves this hero. So instead, we're gonna see it go the side of Infamous here, which I'm excited to see how they play it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be mid lane. My recent experience either trying this hero myself or seeing other people play it has been the direct rush into Kaya Yasha for the cast speed cooldowns, and it didn't seem that bad. Playing into the Silencer though is where things get a little bit weird, so I'm not 100% sure. This could also just be carry Shadow Fiend, and we're seeing like a support Gyro, which is something that's also a South American classic. So there is a lot of flexibility still in this draft that we aren't 100% sure of, but I'm excited to see the hero regardless.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm not as big of a fan of Shadow Fiend carry right now. I think I've seen the Spellcaster Shadow Fiend a little bit, and I think it looks good. It's like back to its older form, maybe not as broken as it used to be, but at least viable. And I kind of like the idea of just going Gyro carry at this point, because Rupture probably is being used on the Pango in most fights, but in case you do put it on the carry, Gyro is someone who can just sit still and attack with Flat Cannon and still contribute a lot without having to worry too much about the Rupture. So I'd be okay just committing to that. Like, I'm trying to think of what other carry you want instead. You gotta survive the Dawnbreaker Tusk lane. You could maybe pick someone even longer range to stay super far back, but I don't know, like, they have gap closers, you know, so I'd still be a little nervous of doing that. And yeah, I think something like Undying, maybe I would say Undying 5 sounds good to me versus Dawnbreaker Tusk. Easy double decays, a very strong frontliner to keep the gyro safe. And if they do commit for the gyro, it means Tombstone is being built up, decays are being built up, and Undying might get at least some return kills in that situation. We'll see if they do want to do something like you said, Undying off lane, go for the carry SF mid Pango. Could be fun, but I like the idea of just doing position 5 Undying here.
Okay, we're seeing Lina come back a little bit. So this should be for mid. It is. Okay, so this is like a classic counter, right? How many times have we seen Shadow Fiend versus Lina in the mid lane? So very excited to see how that's gonna kind of play out. But yeah, as we see some of these other kind of players lock in, it will end up being... It is gonna... Oh, interesting. Okay. Huh. Where do you think this Undying is going, actually? It's got to be the 5 position, right?
Yeah. I think so, because JP's the carry, and he's got...
Yeah.
He's got the gyro. Yeah.
And Pango is the offlaner. Yeah, so it's position 5. Yeah, so you want him in front of your gyro.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Like, I was trying to figure out, I was like, is this the same person? Because people change their names in game all the time. I'm like, who's who? Yeah, looks really, really good. I like the drafts.
Yeah, I think that Undying pick, it'll get Gyro the start he needs. Later on, you can even use the Tombstone Shard, which used to be super broken, eventually got nerfed a little bit, but it is still got its uses, especially if you get it for free from the Tormentor. And if someone gets ruptured, you can just stick them in the Tombstone for a little bit, waste some of that rupture time, which I think is nice. Maybe you see a Dawnbreaker ult coming down to chain stun, Lina stun, coming in. You can just Tombstone to kind of break that combo. So I think a lot of cool uses for the Undying support. I think it's a great last pick. The Silencer does provide a bit of an issue for a lot of this stuff, though, which is that you can interrupt all of Undying's things that we just talked about. Shadow Shaman wants to lock someone down, he gets silenced. Maybe SF is trying to do his ultimate burst combo, silence comes out. Pango at least is actually often picked into Silencer, because if you roll first and then go in, you don't care about the silence. But still, if you don't do that, then you can't roll either.
Yep, I 100% agree, and I think it is about that time we jump into game number 1 of our South American qualifiers here, everybody. So you have made it at a pretty good time here. Infamous versus Sustancia, our first game, and it should be a lot of fun. You are correct. I agree that the Pangolier often picked into Silencer for that very reason, but at the same time, you now have Bloodseeker picked into the Pango, so you have an answer to him, just in a slightly different way, right?
Where I come from.
Let me see if this early smoke leads to anything. Tusk was in that area, swift escape after blocking the camp, which this small camp block is you can use a quelling blade to cut a tree and place a sentry pretty far back that the enemy is going to need to have a way to block through that. They gotta cut through the tangos. Use tangos to cut the trees to find that sentry. So very annoying to get to.
Potential fight over the top room. Without the Bloodseeker here, it's a little bit less damage potentially coming out from the Silencer. So when they see the Lina, though, might be enough to just push them away. So it is going to be with that mid Shadow Fiend, like we talked about, the Shadowmire facet pointed out by our observer already. So this is the one that applies the stacking slow as you build up stacks of Shadow Rays on an enemy. Now, it used to, but doesn't anymore, allow you to gain extra souls. That aspect of it was removed. So you do not have the extra soul mechanic when you kill people. Those permanent temporary souls, as we've called them in the past.
I miss calling them that. They were too good. They were too good. They were too good.
They were way too good.
It needed that nerf. It needed that nerf. SF players might disagree, but it needed that nerf. Needed that nerf.
I think I saw Analog too many times go like 25-1 in the mid lane, and you know, I think when that kept happening, it was a little too strong. The bottom lane, we're seeing the Bloodseeker Silencer here already get off to a decent start, doing this combo here. There's your curse. They'll have the silence come out in a moment. He just needs to pick his target. They really want to get it onto the Pango. It's going to be close. It won't actually connect, and instead Sladen just kills the Silencer. Okay, got a little bit too greedy going for that. Otherwise, you just kill that. I mean, you at least potentially force the foul play out of Mr. Shadow Shaman, but yeah, that hurts a lot.
This thing's getting scary down here. This is usually where Bloodseeker has an advantage because of the. This is where Bloodseeker uses an advantage because of the thirst. You get a lot of extra strength here. I think that's something nice about having Lina in the mid lane. Lina in the mid lane harasses so much that the mid laner stays low. Seeing Bloodseeker have some strength. Look at that silence bar. It's not even going down.
Yeah. This is where like this lane is literally the strongest at levels 1, 2, and 3. And you should almost always be able to win the lane. So that first death is a pretty uncharacteristic start for that lane duo. A little bit of a mistake, or underestimating maybe the damage coming out from the Shadow Shaman. But yeah, as you can see, he's just going to get silenced again. It's going to continue to extend the curse duration. This Shadow Shaman had like 80% HP before 3 spells. And it's not like they're heavy spells. They're pretty spammable.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a strong start for the safe lane after that. Lina actually TP out doesn't make it.
TP out. Oh, it was a long TP. Pamplona TP'd mid on the Tusk.
Oh no.
Oh, that hurts really bad. So Pamplona came into the mid lane to help him, extends the TP duration. And now he has to walk of shame back mid. And this is a lane where typically Lina should do pretty good. And we saw Faker having a pretty good start. So this is going to slow him down a lot.
Yeah, I like that Tusk came over, because once that Undying pick comes out, you picked Dawnbreaker and Tusk to be a strong lane combo, and then that Undying just completely shuts that down. So that's why he had that sentry trick earlier to try to get things going in their favor. And he's trying to roam, help out mid, shut down this SF, who usually is a pretty punishable mid, but actually Lina dies for it. That's unfortunate. This is ridiculous. So
foul play will keep him alive, but this is, the duration on this stuff is so long. All right, nice decision from Pamplona, stay mid to find a kill there onto the Shadow Fiend. A lot of fighting already, right? Which is kind of what we expect from this region in general, but also just these drafts. Pangolier stuck around maybe just a moment too long. He is dead as well, I think. That curse should kill him. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I need to play some Bloodseeker, man. Just watching this.
I'll play some Silencer for you.
You wanna
press Q on people and win MMR?
Yeah, I'm down, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's really strong. It will have its weaknesses later, right? Like once you get dispelled, suddenly you ignore that combo, right? There's very few heroes with dispels at the start of the game. Faker in a bit of trouble here. Or is he?
He has raised in 1 second. He's dead.
He is.
That's a nice rotation from Pamplona, but yeah, their Water Rune is still there. He'll be able to grab it on the Shadow Fiend. Yeah, I mean, the 3rd point in raise, a lot of damage, especially with the Shadowmire facet, is really hard to get away.
Yeah, this matchup can go. It's very volatile.
It's very volatile as we're seeing.
The Lina has a lot of burst damage, which Shadow Fiend's a pretty squishy hero. But then that kind of goes the other way, where Lina does not have any escapes. If the triple, or not even the triple raise, just like she's low and two raises can be enough to kill Lina, especially with that slow that got buffed on Shadowmire.
Yeah. It's cool to see Shadow Fiend. He's obviously invested into a lot of mana as well here, right? Mango, the bottle, it's got a clarity, even the raindrops, now getting a null talisman. Just knowing that the mana regen is going to play a big part for him here in this game, allowing him not only to farm on the hero, but to potentially find kills like that as well.
Lane out, so at least Lina's not missing too much. That can be the downside of being killed mid. Is not the actual death, but all the creeps you miss out on. But Tusk doing a job, being a bit self-sacrificial to make sure his cores have a good start here. And Gyro is farming well, but you've avoided dying too much to the undying lane.
Yeah, I'm surprised this Pangolier has as much CS as he does, right? Considering how rough of a lane this is, he's actually done a pretty dang good job. Now, he is about to lose about half of his health bar, but not bad.
Breaker still just dragon. So a lot of the action is actually in this mid lane. Just both teams trying to get the mid off to a good start, secure the power rune, which it does spawn bottom, amplify damage of pretty big. With the raises, you can use that to get an early kill, or another one, I guess, we've already seen some happen, or you can just speed up your farm if there's a lot of stacks, kind of like this.
I was gonna say, you could farm Ancients with it. So I don't know if he's going to use it quite yet. He can hold it for either a mid lane gank, or if they stack the Ancients one more time around, that would be fine. Oh, that is going to be a dead kill. Pangolier on the bottom lane here once again. I mean, not only is this... Whoa, on the other monitor, a 3-hero gank into the mid lane using that Dawnbreaker ultimate. Gets the kill onto the Shadow Fiend. Very nicely done.
Now, he didn't commit his amplify damage, so he can maybe get a return kill later. He's got to pick up a couple souls first. But good gank from the Tusk, setting up the Dawnbreaker ult coming in, which he is pretty early because of being left alone. Silencer first here, but Bloodseeker should be able to kill Undying. Yeah. Oh, here's that amplify damage.
That's a big raise. Yeah. Not making out of that one. A little bit of a revenge kill there for the Bloodseeker. All right. Pretty good finds there from Infamous. I think overall, right? Your Shadow Fiend comes in, he gets a cleanup kill. They take the Wisdom Shrine still, manage to defend it. And you get this Bloodseeker, who's been having pretty good game so far. Now, during all of this, a lot of attention to these other lanes. We haven't really talked too much about top. Gyro is pretty much free. He's just 1-0, farming up. You don't have a lot of ways of pressuring him. Oh, bottom lane, Lina shows up. Foul play procs will still get the kill, so Faker collects another one on the Lina.
Talking about other a lot of fighting. 2 kills a minute right now. Let's see if that average keeps up.
It's not gonna disappoint, I'm sure. I'm mostly curious where the item builds are going to take some of these heroes, right? Because Gyro, we usually just see like the Falcon Blade into things like Chrysalis or Dragonlance, which, yeah, it looks like he's got the Falcon Blade treads going Dragonlance himself. Dawnbreaker has the phase boots queued up. Might go for something like a Blade Mail. But big rotation top in with the Rupture. They finally get themselves their hands onto the Gyrocopter, but in comes the Shadow Fiend, a double raise to get the return. And now the Rolling Thunder will look for the Bloodseeker, but will he get the vision? They don't know which direction he's gone. He's juked right, and you guessed left. So he should be safe. Might just take him a moment. He has to wait for that TP cooldown, 7 seconds.
He's gonna hide deep in the corners there. Undying now. Yeah, despite the name, gonna fall there. Can't really get away from this hero. Sladen might be another death.
They call call down. Hold up. That's a really big call down, but in comes the Dawnbreaker. Is it enough to save them? They do lose the Tusk, but JP, he exchanges his life, gets the Lina at the last second. Very close from that gyro. Dude, imagine he gets that Lina. If that Dawnbreaker ult does not come in, he might just get himself a triple kill and walk away, but very good response from the Dawnbreaker.
I mean, that's the strength of the hero, right? The global ultimate. There's actually two globals. There's actually two globals now. Silencer and Dawnbreaker. So you are gonna be careful when you take those fights. I'd say killing the Lina first barely makes that worth it. Even though he falls. He's already at 5. At 10 minutes.
So we're going to be seeing a dead Pangolier here in the bottom lane. Global silence coming through, preventing any sort of chase here, as they're just going to be able to hit him down here with that tag team from the Dusk. He burns down to the Silencer, which, I don't know, for the 9th time or something, but there's an Invis rune here on Lala. How would you know it's just smoke? And he's going to walk right into the Shadow Fiend. A quick raise and an auto attack. Even the Tombstone dropped, but very defensively. The double TP's out will allow them to escape, and maybe they can push the tower here. I think they still had their catapult available. Yeah, but no Serpent Wards. Those were dropped earlier.
Yeah. The catapult will be enough if they want to commit that hard for it. Shadow Fiend, even as a spellcaster. I mean, he's at 140 damage right now. Certainly you've got the especially when multiple heroes have to rotate out. I don't think he can bring the numbers to defend. Looks like they're trying to pressure mid to at least trade towers, and they're fortifying. TP everyone. You can maybe hold it, but you got to go soon.
They already took top on Dawnbreaker, and the catapult plus Lina, it's gonna get mid. They just traded 2 towers, and now mid lane, another silence into Rupture onto this Pangolier. Cook cannot keep him alive. And Flona will get himself another kill as they're gonna die for the Undying. Well, not everyone's gonna die for the Undying. Maybe Flona has to get away here. Requiem being thrown for the moment. They will not get their hands on this Tusk. He just shard block TP, he's out.
Still going though. Here goes Dawnbreaker.
It is indeed. Yeah, Dawnbreaker comes through. There's your Requiem. It does catch them. Snowball's going to buy this Tusk some time, turning his attention over Slated, but JP, another big call down. Can be able to zone out the entire side of the Radiant. The Shackles will grab the Bloodseeker as they chase for the Dawnbreaker here. Do they have the damage? They do not. The slows from the Celestial Hammer will be enough. A haste rune. Hold up, Faker. He's going to get aggressive with this one, but JP putting his life on the line here to try and protect his supports. The Undying probably not going to be as lucky here. He does claim the kill with one more Dragon Slave.
We're actually trying to increase our kills per minute. This game going above 2 per minute now. Just non-stop action happening here. It's going to lead to some pretty high level support. It's usually what happens when there's so many kills, which you're gonna decide who that favors. You're gonna get more lockdown for the Shadow Shaman. Silencer, yeah, Silencer already had a good start. He's at 9 brain drain stats.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of thinking. Is like anytime you have a lot of fighting in the early game, it's like, and if Silencer is involved in the kills, I feel like it always favors the Silencer.
I also think with the Dawnbreaker,
you can see it in the net worth.
Yeah, he's pretty rich. I think also with the Dawnbreaker, you don't sacrifice as much mobility or map efficiency because you have that global mobility. You can push another lane while still joining fights. This Pango, I was wondering, we've seen him die so much to the silences. If you just have to go Lotus first, he actually is. I think this is necessary. It does feel bad. You want to at least get the defusal because it speeds your farm speed and your damage so much, but his life is difficult until he has a way to deal with the silences, and the Lotus will at least dissuade Rupture. So he's got to go for this. But it's an expensive item to go for when you're barely ahead of the enemy silencer.
Oh boy, Rupture into the... I mean, it's a lot of damage, but Gyrocopter is still doing a lot. They're going to be able to get the curse off as well. That might just kill the Gyro. It's going to be so close. They extended the duration. 30, 50, 29 HP. He lives. They get the return kill onto the Tusk. Very, very heads up play there from JP. Just turning around with a call down, dropping every little bit of damage he could. Faker's going to get the arcane here right in front of this Undying. Look to chase here, pops the arcane. Going to be able to just go right in with the Laguna. As the tombstone on the high ground will not protect him. That being said, rolling hold up. Hold up. No.
He doesn't have the damage.
He doesn't have the damage.
Not without a diffusal.
Yeah,
not without
otherwise
a diffusal.
Otherwise you could maybe swashbuckle into roll, and then
swashbuckle again at the end.
But
with how rough of a game he's having,
he needs his teammate. Like if he's gonna roll, like if he
probably the SF or the gyro
to actually get a kill.
Yeah. So Shadow Fiend pulling ahead as the top net worth hero here. He's had a lot of space in the last few minutes to kind of pick up the farm speed, and again is going that Kaya Yasha build, or Yasha Kaya, whatever you want to call it. He's got that done on his way to the Blink Dagger, and I cannot underestimate how much this speeds up the farm speed on this hero. It's pretty sick. It does everything caster Shadow Fiend wants, and it's one of the reasons we're seeing it be picked back up again. So he's having a great time. And now has a Blink Dagger. 15-minute Kaya Yasha Blink Dagger. That is kind of nuts.
Now this is really strong, like you said. This is really strong, like you said. Fall flat pretty quickly. When dies like this on the gyro, how much damage you can get out quickly. So if you try to blink in, if global is available, or if they just happen to get you with burst down, you will get burst down by Radiant lineup. So you still have to be careful. Despite being the top spot of the Shadow Fiend. No, it's still gonna tick down. Oh my goodness.
The silence is here. This will pop the foul play, but one more auto attack does come through. Global silence now, but it actually gets the roll in from the Pangolier. He really wants to punch Lena, but he gets stuck. You need some follow-up. Shadow Fiend does have the blink into the Requiem, but it gets canceled. He turns around with a stun and LSA. But with everybody on the high ground, they are afraid to look for more, and you will TP to safety on the Lena. I thought he was just going to go in with the Requiem the moment that stun connects, but he doesn't know what's on the high ground waiting for him.
I mean, you have to be extra careful. You know you're having a good game. You know you're having a good game. You can't be Shadow Fiend. You can't be reckless with your positioning. Otherwise, you feed so much. Lose those precious necromastery stacks. I mean, that's another role that doesn't really. Yeah, these are just the regular temporary ones. Pango.
So Milner is going to be the first item from Bloodseeker.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of farming speed and damage. Then Pango almost at his plate mail. So then gonna go at the energy. Doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter. He just needs the lotus at the end of the day. Still another couple minutes away from. And then maybe he can play Dota.
Nice. I like playing that game.
He's been waiting 20 minutes to play Dota.
Guys, come on. It's my turn. Give me the controller.
How about not? How about silence? The thing is, there's actually so many sources of silence. So even if he dispels one, like you could be globaled after the Lotus. Or Bloodseeker. Once Bloodseeker casts a spell, he doesn't actually mind getting silenced. You know. So if you see the Lotus come out, you're like, you're like, choose between silencing my enemies or boosting myself. Now I can actually do both. And I don't care if I'm silenced. So maybe he won't rupture into the Lotus, but you still don't mind using Blood Rage after the Lotus Orb is used.
Shadow Shaman is very close to the Blink Dagger, so they're going to allow him to just TP top and try and farm this wave here. They really want to get this online. Sometimes you just see like the Aether Lens first, but they're opting to kind of grid out a little bit more for the Blink, which will be a nice power spike for the hero. It's JP on the gyro. We saw him finish up the Aghanim Scepter a little while ago, going back for that Hurricane Pike. And then eventually the Sange and Yasha. Jump in here. Tusk tried to find the Shadow Shaman behind the tower, but gets punished pretty dang quick. Snowball's going to end. He's going to get cleaned up, and that will be the global silence as well. So a little bit of a miss from the Radiant.
Yeah, I actually thought if you just let him die, wards for Tusk is actually not too bad. Now that you also committed global, trying to save that Tusk, that might actually give Infamous some room here to get this mid tower. They've been down in tower since that earlier exchange.
If they get a kill, they can also Roche. Like, Shadow Fiend is still very good at Roshan, even in the caster build. But mid lane, they have their eyes set on JP. In comes Faker, a lot of damage. They're going to try and save him with the Lotus Orb. The Tombstone's down all the heals, but the Requiem deletes the Bloodseeker on the backside. The Rolling Thunder trying to chase down the lead, but he bonks a wall. Faker might be out because of that, and he is. Oh man, that is the second time here the Pango has really had a rough time connecting on that. Pamplona looking for Cook here, slayed it, an aggressive blink into the Hex. Here comes Shadow Fiend, but a Blade Mail to prevent him from using any of those spells quite yet. There's the Shackles coming through. Faker in as well here on the Lina, tries to finish off Cook, should get the kill now. Turns his attention to Sladen, foul play will proc, just needs one more attack, gets the double. Quick TP out there from the Pango. I mean, this looked like a great fight from the start for Infamous, but couple problems with the execution. Ends up it being kind of even.
They did get the Bloodseeker though, which is Gyro though.
You're gonna lose JP. Yeah, he's dead.
Look at that, man. Look at that. The two mids this game absolutely terrifying. They do so much damage. They do so much damage given free reign. Both teams have a lot to set up their mids to just stand there and deliver damage. That's a full BKB done on the way now. Both teams actually, I'd say, could do Roche. It's easier for Infamous. Tag team from the Tusk. Maybe you need Dawnbreaker there. To tank a little bit for you, but you can do the damage between the Lean and the Bloodseeker.
Dawnbreaker's closing in on her Ags. You said BKB on Faker for the Lina, but you also just finished up a BKB on the Shadow Fiend. As we do have the Tormentor available, and with this, it looks like it will go to the Radiant, but Infamous, with the Undying, with the Shadow Fiend, you'll be able to infinitely stack the Raze here, especially with an Arcane Rune, should make it more than easy. So they should be able to grab themselves the first Roshan of the game in exchange for that Tormentor.
This is something that used to not really be a thing. Only a few do this based on the draft. Oh, they're getting Tormentor. We'll get Roche. They're getting Roche. I guess we'll go do Roche. I guess we'll go do Tormentor because it happened 15 minutes, and there's very few teams that can actually Roche at 15 minutes. Even though this was actually choosing to do the Roche. I expect to see more of these types of trades in games going forward. Where both of these objectives are viable and good at 20 minutes. Maybe a little bit better. It's no longer one team getting an early lead, getting Tormentor, getting Roche, and then just repeating that till they win. It seems to be more of a trade-off. Or you have to be real fast. How you go for these objectives.
They have a ward. They get their hands onto the Lina, but he actually blinks into the wards. Lala, you need to get that Requiem off. No way. He lives on 80 HP thanks to the swashbuckler coming into the last second from the Pango, as now they will grab themselves the Tusk. All right, Sladen with this Shadow Shaman being a menace.
I mean,
that was so close. That was so close.
He had a miserable time. But now that he's got his blink dagger, he's got the instant Hex. He's setting up the kills, getting the work done. It was a little close. With the Shadow Fiend dying there, but he does have the Aegis, so you can take some risk on that hero.
I guess the point I was about to make before that fight broke out is like, there's two school of thoughts, right, when it comes to Aegis versus Tormentor. Tormentor is you're wanting to invest more into one of your supports and build your net worth advantage, whereas Roshan, you're investing into your next team fight. And it's like, if you get the Aegis and you don't do anything with it, it a lot of times doesn't kind of pay off in a way. But as a result of getting Aegis and moving aggressive into the enemy side of the map, they get the Lina. You still have Aegis for another 3 minutes, so that is just a bonus. but ends up being a great start. Now they're gonna get them hands onto Cook. In comes Lina, but there's the blink, the shackle, the Requiem, the Rolling Thunder to hold him back. Silencer cannot keep him alive, and now 2 kills as Cook is somehow still alive on this Undying. Will finally die, but another Hex comes through. The Gyrocopter and the Shadow Fiend just getting to work. Snowball will cancel the shackles as it's all on this Bloodseeker to try and do some work. A buyback in here from the Silencer as well. Big Bloodright gonna be able to zone out the whole side of Infamous. They're low, but who can you actually go on without being punished? Shadow Fiend barely misses the second raise. Smiles on his face knowing I just need to angle a little better, but yeah, you invested in your team fight, it pays off.
It's despite that, it's still an insanely close game. 23 to 22. 23 to 22. Oh, man. The shard's coming into work there. So first Tusk Shard. The extra slow and control in very nice for them, especially against Pango. It didn't matter in that case. It didn't matter in that case, but it can sometimes limit his role quite a lot. But the Undying shard is how we stayed alive so long. Jump on the Pango. The jump on the Pango. Lotus.
Oh, he got the Lotus off though, so he's protecting himself quite a bit. And well, with this, they actually try to find. The Bloodseeker goes for the BKB, just starts running at the Shadow Fiend. He is not surviving this. Lala in some trouble. The Axe Dawnbreaker drops down immediately. They will finally be able to claim that Aegis. It looks like surely one more auto attack is going to be enough. The Rupture comes out, almost gets the Bloodseeker, but he will survive. So now they turn back around. The Silence now comes out as well, but you've lost Lina once again. Sladen finds his mark.
These are level 2 Serpent Wards. They hit pretty hard. Especially because Bloodseeker. Although he has decent armor naturally, his items haven't really helped him with that. Mjolnir and BKB. He runs by the Serpent Wards to try to get to the SF. Loses about half his health to the Serpent Wards. Plus the presence of the Dark Lord. It's helping the little bit more damage. I think that's something Bloodseeker miscalculated a little bit.
Yeah, 7 minus armor is no joke. Like it definitely adds up in fights.
Still no Feast of the Souls. Feast of the Souls though. Dude, they need to do something with that ability.
They need to just do a new ability. It's just not a thing. Like it actually, they tried buffing it, and they did the exact buff that I had theory crafted for a while. But then they just nerfed the spell. And so now it's just worse again. Dawnbreaker could come in. Nice stun on his heroes. The grab ally from Cook. The buy-in, but a reverse Rupture. That's going to hurt this Bloodseeker so much. He gets feared for so long. The Axe reveal just kills him. Oh my goodness. The Ags plus the Fear talent at 20. The self-Rupture just runs himself into the grave.
We're seeing that Undying Tombstone shard value again there as well. Once you commit in hard, you just jump at the Tombstone for a little bit. Pop out. Actually, there's a limit. Yeah, you gotta sit there for 2 seconds. You gotta sit there for 2 seconons. But once you leave, choose when to get out. Keeping everybody alive, allowing the team to respond. We get a replay of that. Nice. We get a replay of that.
Look at that. I mean, it's such a great ult from Dawnbreaker, but a really quick response from Cook. Watch the fear duration. It just doesn't go away. He took 1,400 pure damage from his own Rupture, man. That's not okay.
He's so fast too. He's hurting himself during that fear and self-rupture. That's pretty funny.
He's like, haha, I'm gonna get in there and do a lot of damage. And he's like, haha, I'm gonna run away and die. Big item pickups though coming through here, as you know, a couple fights back to back have led into some new pickups. The Shadow Shaman getting, of course, the Aether Lens, which he kind of showcases right there. Shadow Fiend obviously got his Aghanim Scepter that we just saw revealed. He's going for a Lincoln's, and now Gyro with the completed S&Y going for the Satanic. So pretty big power spikes, and suddenly a 9,000 gold lead here built for Infamous after what's been a pretty close game net worth wise up until about 24 minutes where it was almost dead even.
Yeah, they're starting to get the big kills, right?
The big kills, right?
Shadow Fiend hasn't really died for a while now. The lane was a little bit rough. The lane was a little bit rough, but now he's 8 to 11. Now he's 8 to 11. Whereas the kills they're getting, May just cursed him. May just cursed him. His third death there. A really good find because he has been at the very top. And that's been what's been building this lead. He snuck his way. He snuck his way. Not really. He's been getting so many kills consistently that he was at the top. Get a return kill.
JP's in. Rolling Thunder is here. They're looking for anybody else, but the Lina has popped the BKB. She's going to be safe. Pamplona not going to be as lucky. Cleaned up there by the gyrocopter.
Dude, Lina was just about to walk through the trees, and they could have gotten the Lina kill. They could have gotten the Lina kill instead of Toss. That was really lucky timing for Lina. Unlucky timing for Infamous.
And Dawnbreaker's Axe is so good. I know it like changed kind of the counters for her, right? It used to be like one of the big counters to things like Chronosphere and Black Hole because you would just sit there and heal your whole team. But dude, the fact that you just like instantly join the fight and stun everybody is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's quite nice to have the chain stun, potential then. That was a little lacking before. And in this case, you might even be able to interrupt the channel from the Shadow Fiend. I would throw out the Requiem as well, but I mean it's so fast. Difficult to do that one. Pretty difficult to do that. Maybe though, you know, you get a little lucky on the timing. Could be impactful.
Yeah, I want to go back to Feast of Souls real quick. What do you think that they can do to make it so that people actually even use the ability? Because I want to say, like, he's only putting levels in it now because he has no other choice, right? Like, he can't put points in anything else. So he has Feast of Souls now that he's level 22. You don't even really use this ability. Even as, like, carry Shadow Fiend, it's bad. So I'm not really sure what the fix is for this thing.
I think what. Hold that thought. Lina, get your BKB on.
Great global though. Yeah, I mean these wards are doing a lot of work, and in comes the Shadow Fiend. There's the Requiem, doing so much damage. Takes down the Dawnbreaker as well. And Pamplona will be ran down from the Pangolier. A 3-for-1 as the Bloodseeker will go to cut the next wave.
It's actually looking okay to start because Lina lived so long and got her BKB off. The rest of the team, unlike before, this time the rest of the team did not show up fast enough. And Serpent Wards, again, doing a lot of damage to Lina, allowing the SF to come in. And that was right in front of the enemy base. Bloodseeker is cutting the next wave, but there's enough creep here from the mid lane that pressure two lanes at once. Now, if buybacks were a thing, you would probably not get anything like this, but your attention like this. Either correctly predicting or just hoping that they don't have buyback. And you're gonna get both barracks now. Actually, they're TP out for the
Bloodseeker. He's gonna get rehexed here. Has to BKB. Does have a TP, so he should be fine. I don't think he has the damage for this. Yeah, but that will actually slow down the push here in the mid lane. So they're actually getting no lanes of barracks for this.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think you let Bloodseeker kill your Shadow Shaman if you get 2 lanes of barracks.
Or just. This is where you said earlier, just focus and get one. Right, you get 2 tier 3 towers, but now no lanes of racks. The Roshan is up, so they're gonna go straight for. They should get this very quickly. Tombstone is down. There's the Roar, which was buffed in the recent patch, which I was stoked to see.
I feel like you tried to have your cake and getting 2 lanes and a Bloodseeker kill there. Maybe some of the idea though was like forget the lanes. We get the Bloodseeker kill, we guarantee Roche. Which you didn't quite get the kill, but you forced the BKB and run out, so they don't feel like they can fight the Roshan. So you do get the Aegis and the banner. If you win a team fight now, you'll get not only 2 lanes of barracks, but the third lane as well, or maybe you'll just win the game. Especially if you have Serpent Wards available to drop on the towers.
You know, if you consider Roshan cake, they did get their cake and eat it too. You know.
That's true.
That might count. Top side, Sladen trying to find someone, does get the Hex there onto the Dawnbreaker. There's the long duration Shackles. Dude, that's just a scouting Serpent Ward. That's crazy for Sladen. He's like, I know he's on the other side here, but I'm just gonna drop the wards to get vision to secure this kill, because otherwise he ults out, right? He can ult out immediately. So kind of a heads up play there from the Shaman.
Yeah, I mean at this point, wards. Like in the early game, you want to use the serpent wards because they're so good for that. Because they're. But as you get later on in the game, your heroes do enough tower damage that as long as you kill a hero and set yourself up, you don't really need the serpent. You don't really need the serpent wards for it. So.
Yeah, with this draft.
Yeah, especially with the shadow feed and the very farm gyro. At this point. All right. Well,
and the other time is like if you're behind on Shadow Shaman, you can just like rat towers, right? So like that's what makes this hero so good. He's good when you're ahead, and he's good when you're behind still. So you see Gyrocopter go up on the high ground, take the last tier 3 tower. They're doing this the hard way. They're like, guys, we got to take all the towers before we're allowed to take any lanes of barracks. So. Banners drop. This will protect the creep wave. Smoked up here on the Radiant. No buyback on the Dawnbreaker, so she's still dead for about 10 seconds. Rolling Thunder primed. Getting ready to use that one here if they need to, but with the Dawnbreaker dead, Radiant maybe a little bit too afraid to engage right away. 3 minutes left on the Aegis here as JP's going to go up onto the high ground once more. They drop a nice ward, trying to scout out the back lines. It's just so, where do you initiate from? Well, maybe if it's Faker finding both of the supports, that's a real good way to start it off. Shadow Shaman, as well as the Undying, are going to buy back into this game. Undying just instantly respawns. JP comes up onto the high ground once again here, looking to chase for more. The Rolling Thunder is out, but Rupture's available. The load is preventing him from being able to really do a whole lot, but the Shadow Feed comes in, helps find the kill. Gyrocopter isolated up onto the high ground, but just being bailed out. Spidey supports, they're back into the action. You're gonna lose that Tusk as he buys back. That is gonna be mega creeps now for the side of Infamous. I mean, that was the best possible opening, but you just still don't have the damage, and boy, oh boy, your Lina looking kind of dead right now. You're gonna buy back now on this Bloodseeker, a refresh used from Lala, so another Requiem and another BKB at the ready. They will GG out, and I can imagine the Blink Requiem's coming up in a moment here.
Needing help with the fountain.
Ultra kill for JP to end this one. A 30,000 gold advantage. The game finishes with a ridiculous kill score of 28-38 in 36 minutes. That is the South American Street Dota that we've come to expect here.